Hello, I'm Dr. Scott Watier.
And I'm Tommy Welling, and you're listening to the Fasting for Life podcast.
This podcast is about using fasting as a tool to regain your health, achieve ultimate wellness, and live the life you truly deserve.
Each episode is a short conversation on a single topic with immediate actionable steps. We cover everything from fat loss and health and wellness to the science of lifestyle design.
We started Fasting for Life because of how fasting has transformed our lives, and we hope to share the tools that we have learned along the way. Hey everyone, welcome to the Fasting for Life podcast. My name is Dr. Scott Watier, and I'm here, as always, with my good friend and colleague, Tommy Welling. Happy holidays to you, sir.
Hey, Scott, how are you?
Good to see you. I threw you a curveball there. It's not my normal intro. Happy to be here today. A little foreshadowing. We are going to be talking about holiday eating tips for a fasting lifestyle. So Thanksgiving's in the rearview mirror. Christmas and New Year's are right around the corner. And we thought this would be really applicable to kind of give you like a top 10 list. And I reserve the right to make it 9 or 15. In terms of things that you can do around the holidays with a fasting lifestyle. If this is your first foray into our podcast, well, you came in at a really great time.
Yeah.
So we want to welcome you in if you're new. You like the word foray there, I could tell.
I do, I love it. What about if this is your first foray into a fasting holiday season?
Yes,
that's a cool time too, right? Okay.
Yeah, that's where I was going. And then I was like, oh, forgot to welcome in the new folks. So welcome to the podcast. If you're new, you want to learn more about myself or Tommy and our journey a few years back with fasting, how it's transformed our lives, head back to episode 1, give it a listen. If you're an OG, you've been with us for a while, you've adopted us and we've adopted you into the fasting lifestyle. And we're just grateful for you to continue to come in and listen and download and share and rate and review. So shameless plug for 5-star reviews. They are our favorite kind.
Love them.
Thank goodness that we have lots of them, which means that, over the almost 4 million downloads in 4+ years now, going on 5, that we have, we've been able to bring value. And that shows in the reviews that we have. So we're just grateful for you, for this, especially this time of year, coming from a place of gratitude for the fact that you allow us and listen to us pontificate about fasting and how adopting a fasting lifestyle can be transformational and can get you on the right path to health and wellness. So as we get into today's conversation, Tommy, holiday eating tips for a fasting lifestyle. If this is your first holiday season with fasting, I want to ask you a question. How did Thanksgiving go? Right? And then
how did Halloween go?
How did
we start there?
How did the Christmas trees going up at Hobby Lobby in July go?
Man.
Okay,
yeah.
no, let's just, so the holiday season technically is Thanksgiving through the new year, but I believe it starts when the Halloween candy comes out, right? Late September, early October. So reflect back on that, but also kind of think forward on what your plan is. Because I remember, Tommy, back in 2019, where my first holiday season that came up was a completely different experience, having been fasting for 6 months and lost a bunch of weight, and lab markers were back on track, and I was happier and less moody and a better husband and a better dad, and just had more energy and was sleeping better, and all those changes. Like, I remember the holidays being like, whoa, this just feels different.
Sure. Yeah. And you had the benefit of kind of coming in. Like, I started my fasting journey right after the holidays. It was the sick and tired of being sick and tired, kind of that moment. It wasn't about a New Year's resolution, but it was about like the year just ended. That did not go as planned. My birthday's coming up. It's January 17th. So I was kind of in that new year right before my birthday, going like, I got to do something different this year. That was where that kind of motivation hit me. So I didn't feel a holiday season for a full other year. But that it definitely certainly felt very different from the year before that. So kind of looking forward to that is where I'd like to, put an anchor on this conversation too.
For sure. So, and honestly, these air quotes holiday eating tips can really apply to any life event. So you got a wedding, you got a 20-year reunion, you got a graduation, you got a kid kid's 18th birthday party, you got a quinceañera, like whatever it is, a bar mitzvah, a bat mitzvah, excuse me.
Sure. No, either way, right?
Yeah, not really great with grammar and pronunciation, but guess what? I don't care.
Yeah.
So the reality is that these can really be applied to any lifestyle event. Now I'm not talking about the ho hum, 40th birthday party of the year from your office staff, right? Like, all right, let's pump the brakes. Like, do you really need to have cake? Again, celebrate the individual, but do you really need to have cake?
Yeah.
And Chick-fil-A again, right? For the 40th birthday celebration. I always think of Office Space when Milton is standing there and he doesn't, and everybody's passing out the cake.
Now pass the cake, Milton.
Pass the cake. And if you don't get that reference, go watch Office Space. Not sure the movie will be made today, but man, fantastic. So we're going to go through 10 things. And number one is kind of how we started the podcast today, Tommy, is adopt a mindset of grace around around your eating behaviors and your decisions you make, right? Like holiday eating is once a year. It's technically three meals. Now, if you count the pumpkin basket, the plastic pumpkin filled with candy as a holiday meal, okay, maybe 4.
Yeah.
And, some people out there, it's a sad time of year. They've lost loved ones. They're by themselves. The holiday traditions have changed. In my family, it's way different than it was back then compared to now. So it really is an opportunity to practice mindful and intentional choices, right? So we don't want to look at it as a problem or an uh-oh moment. We want to look at it as like, man, let me give myself a little grace, this time of year, and the fact that it is not in the big picture of things, it's not really that big of a problem.
Sure. Yeah. I used to look at it like that. I wasn't looking forward to those get-togethers because I was kind of embarrassed how I'd be presenting myself as those, because everyone knew I had been dieting during the year and things like that. And so obviously
must not be working.
Yeah. I don't have the proof to kind of show up in that moment to validate,
where's my black button-down shirt that's very forgiving.
Absolutely. And the fact of the matter is that what was more of the problem that I didn't even see it, during that time. And I think a lot of people can relate to this would be, it was really what I was doing in between the different holidays. It was just that once holiday season, once that kind of gear set off in my mind, then it was more or less like, there weren't many boundaries or a whole lot of intention around the rest of the days between those holidays. And that's really where everything added up. If you count up the number of days, then probably 95% of the days that were the problem were all the times in between those actual holiday get-togethers. And had I maintained a good mindset during those times, I would have enjoyed the heck out of the days, and I would have come out feeling better, weighing less on the scale as well, because that was the goal, right?
If you want to hear about the holiday statistics, we won't go over them again, but we did an episode 258 that came out on 12/3, where we talk about the stats and the reality of the weight gain. And, we're not talking about a big time period here, but it's extrapolated year after year. And it's the behaviors, like you just said, Tommy, in between the 3 meals, right? It's the behaviors the other 10 and a half months, right? It's the stuff you do then that doesn't allow you to then make,
right?
Right. So when we look at it, that mindset of having a little grace for the season and putting the focus where it needs to be, not necessarily on the food. So see it as as a blessing with intention, not a problem. And then this goes right into number 2, which would be like making sure that we're not setting these like hard language barrier. Like, how do I say this? Give yourself permission to enjoy food while maintaining control. Like, I can eat this and still feel good, not, the bad food list of all the cakes and pies and all that stuff. Like, you're an adult. Make the decision to eat it and eat it. If it makes you feel like crap, maybe rethink your decision. But like, use allowing language around this time of year, because it's not this big thing. It really is just a couple of small decisions over the course of 3 days.
Yeah, right. And allow yourself to pull in some of your good habits to those days as well. Like, staying hydrated, right? Going for an intentional walk after your meal. Why don't you make it a little bit of a longer walk after a little bit of a bigger meal, so that it's not like, oh, well, on Thanksgiving, I'm going to go stuff myself. I'm going to become my own stuffed turkey. And then the insulin coma is going to hit afterwards. Like we can allow ourselves.
And then the blood sugar crash. And then let me go have leftovers.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and if you do some of that, great, enjoy it. But like you can also bring in some of the things that are really helpful as far as your blood sugar and your insulin response to those days too.
So you just mentioned 2 of the list, right? So I had it listed out as number 7 and number 8, which
Sorry
is this. No, you're fine. It's all connected.
Yeah.
Is setting an intentional walk after your meal. Like, I remember growing up thinking back, it was like, all right, Pepe, my French grandpa, Pepe's over in the recliner. Uncle Mike's going to be over in the corner of the couch. Uncle Ron's going to be over here. Cousin Kelly's going to go in the bedroom and lay down.
Yeah.
Right. It's like, what? So instead of that, go do a walk, right? 10 to 15 minute walk, get outside. Who cares if it's cold, right?
That's a great time to connect
living in South Texas.
Yeah, but connect with family or friends that get together, right? Like you have this, again, adopting that mindset of I have an opportunity here rather than an obligation.
Yeah, it can make a huge 30% decrease in your blood sugar. It can make you feel better. You don't get the lethargy and the craving train. After the meal, you wake up, you're like, oh, I could have a little more, a little snacky poo, a little second plate, right?
Yeah.
And again, that goes back to, number 1 and number 2 that we had mentioned. But then the second one you mentioned, Tommy, is that hydrate strategically, right? So a lot of the foods we eat and the desserts we have are high sugar or high sodium. And you really want to make sure that you're hydrating earlier in the day before these meals.
Yeah.
So that your body is able to process all of this stuff efficiently. So you want to offset those situations by making sure that you're really strategic with your water. And I do this, again, remember we talked about the spaces in between these 3 meals around the holidays?
Yeah.
Because it's 3 meals. But this is the spaces in between the rest of the year too. It's like, do I wake up and go right for the coffee? Or do I wake up and get my 40-ounce Yeti with a half a teaspoon of Redmond's and an LMNT to get and stack my hydration properly? The days that I do the water, I feel better throughout the whole day. Cravings are less, energy's better, sleep's better. The days that I don't, and I go right to the coffee, well, I pay for it. So hydrate strategically and know that that's a lever you can use before the meal, while the walking is one you can use after.
I love that. I'm going to add one to the list that I don't see here, which would be strategically. Well, you already got permission to go from 9 to 15, right? So we got some variability here. But breaking your fast strategically, because you don't have to wait until the big meal, the big get together to break your fast. Like, let's say you're on a 16 or maybe it's a 20-hour fast. You're going into Thanksgiving with kind of a 4-hour window. Maybe you don't have to break it right when you get there, and all of the temptations and all of the highly, carbohydrate or maybe highly processed or maybe just delicious, amazing things that you're really hungry for. Maybe they're right there in front of you. You could strategically break your fast before you left the house, or when you got there, reach for a plate and grab some crunchy raw veggies, the things that oftentimes are overlooked at the get together, right? But they're there. You can leverage those things rather than being leveraged by your cravings and your hunger in that moment.
So what I just heard there indirectly was, use your intermittent fasting and your fasting skill set wisely.
Yes. Yeah.
That was on the list. So,
yeah, and use it during a feast day.
Yes.
Like we don't like the term, but the holidays are kind of feast days, even though, I still want to look at it as a nutrition opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely. So fast into it and fast out of it. Now, the decisions you make during are going to make the fast out of it either more pleasurable and enjoyable or more difficult.
For sure.
So yeah, use it, plan for it. Like Tommy said, don't go to the meal and just start grazing when you get there. Right. We'll talk about boundaries here in just a second. Put some intention to it. Put a little plate together of all the stuff you love from the spread. If we go to my wife's family, I mean, they've got this giant counter that is just spread full of snacks and stuff. Right. And it's always full. And then there's the warm hors d'oeuvres.
That's where
And
you'd
then
find me. I'd just be hanging out.
Right? You just be hovering, right? You'd be
Hovering,
doing circles. And then there's the meal. So I don't do any of that stuff anymore. I take it, I make a small plate, and I bring it with me to dinner.
Yeah, good plan.
So you're compartmentalizing it. So that's really that leveraging point of that intentionality point too. So let's talk about some things specifically with the meal, Tommy. You already kind of alluded to a couple of them, but prioritizing the nutrient dense foods. So larger portions of meats, non-starchy veggies, and enjoy like the all indulgent stuff. Right? Like the green bean casserole, which can go to a special place in hell, in my opinion. That stuff is disgusting. So many people love it. The more indulgent,
you love green
dense,
beans. So I think you find it to be like a slight on green beans, right? Like
I just find it to be a slight on humanity. So, not my thing, but so focus on the larger portions of the good stuff, but make sure you splatter your plate, right? And still have that stuff there, but don't make that the star of the show, right?
Yeah.
So we're going to talk about eating order here, but the portion size conversation kind of comes up with this food choice conversation. It's like, make sure to leave some space on your plate rather than just piling it on, because it will, if you look at fine dining, right? And you could do like a 5-course plated dinner. I've only done it once in my life. It's like, they give you, it might've been 7 because there was an appetizer and a dessert, I think too. But it was like a 5-course plus or
like
5%.
one bite on the plate.
Yeah. It's this tiny little like turd of food. And I'm like, that's it? We paid what for this? But the reality is like it's the experience. So make sure to like control the portion sizes and leave space on your plate rather than just piling it up. And if you want more, you can always go back for more. But typically we just blow through our hunger cues on the holiday and just pay for it later.
Yeah, that gives time for your stomach and brain to sync back up. Because man, I mean that's tough. You walk in there hungry. There's all these kind of things. You're excited, especially if you've been fasting going into it. Now you're really hungry, and then you have an opportunity to kind of pile things on. But then now, visually and subconsciously, I kind of want to finish that. And I'm also maybe looking forward to going back and getting some more of what I really loved on my plate too. So this can be a 1-2 punch where putting in a little bit of time and going, okay, let me shoot for 80% full at some point, during this nutrition opportunity. And let me give myself a little bit of time buffer so I can go back and try a few other things without just piling, food on top of food. And that does start with prioritizing protein, whatever those protein sources are, prioritize them, because they definitely don't happen by accident.
Brazilian steakhouse example. At some point, you can't eat any more meat.
Right.
Right. But at some point, there's always room for that cheesecake.
Right. Or a roll, another roll, especially with like some sweet butter or something like that. Or a tortilla chip
with some salsa, right? Yeah. You eat 3 baskets before dinner. You still have room for dinner. It's odd that happens, right?
It is, yeah.
So
it's unfortunate.
Let's talk about a couple, right? Yeah, very unfortunate. So I love that video where it's like, here's your tortillas, sir. And it's just a stack of 20 tortillas. And the guy's like, I don't want these tortillas. What the hell is this?
What do you want me to do with that?
He's like, what if I cut them up into little triangles and fried them? He's like, oh yeah. So he brings them back. Here are your tortillas, sir. And it's the same amount of tortillas. And it's just this pile of chips.
Yep.
It's like, let's put some perspective on this thing, right? So it's interesting. They do that for a reason, by the way. That dozen year plus of restaurant industry experience. So let's talk about a couple of optimizers, and then we'll talk about boundaries and we'll wrap up. So I think we had 10. Now we're probably around 12 or 13. So I think I was spot on. But we'll talk about number 5 and number 6 on the original list, which was eating starches last and incorporating apple cider vinegar. So I don't like the word hack, but these are optimizers. So we just came off the prioritizing protein conversation, right? So start with the proteins, the fats, the fiber, right? The cruciferous stuff, and then end with the carbohydrates, right? So don't start the meal with the wine. Have the wine after you've already started eating.
Yeah.
Right? Because it processes a fat or a carb. Then make sure the appetizer table that might have the sweets and the cookies and all that stuff laid out before dinner, right? Add those to the end of your meal. The carbohydrates, put those at the end. That's going to help with your blood sugar response. And then the thing you can do before the meal, which helps blood sugar and the craving swings and the hunger cues and the tryptophan,
from the turkey.
Fall off the face of the planet, right? It's not typically the tryptophan. It's the overabundance of food bolus that then causes a blood sugar response, then causes you to crash.
Yeah.
But you can do the vinegar on the front end, Tommy, which can also help with that blood sugar.
Yeah, a little bit of apple cider vinegar, about a tablespoon or so, maybe about 30 minutes beforehand, and you're looking at a better blood sugar response, just like that walk after the meal. Do this before the meal. So now you have like your bookends here to help control the blood sugar and insulin volatility. That's then going to help you have more stable energy levels and make better, more rational decisions when you're actually in that moment too, because you're not feeling the effect of these wild blood sugar swings as much.
100%. So we've got a couple before. So we got the hydrate strategically. We've got the apple cider vinegar, right? Mm-hmm. Before. And then we've got the walk after.
Breaking your fast strategically.
Yeah, breaking your fast strategically, right? Those are all before metrics or levers that you can pull. And then after is going to be eat your plate, build your plate wisely, then eat your plate in an order to help with your blood sugar. Mm-hmm. And then walk after your meal. These are all things that can make the holidays feel so much more holiday-y and so much less, I did it again.
Obligation-y and
obligation-y.
Guilty.
Oh, all right. Okay, we're going to talk about boundaries.
Okay.
Last conversation. Boundaries.
End it with a bang.
Boom. So let's talk about sweets. Limit the desserts, limit the sweets, enjoy them as you can, delay the gratification if you can, right? So if you're full, don't eat it, take it home, put it in a container and take it home. That's okay.
You won't enjoy it as much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just don't worry about the horse, load the wagon, just stuff it down. No, if you're full, stop. Take a moment. Say 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Look at it and go, you know what? I really want that, but I don't want it right now. Delayed gratification. I'm trying to teach my kids this right now. Mm-hmm. It's incredibly powerful. Incredibly powerful for consistency and discipline, right? Now, I'm not saying don't have the stuff. Can't eat the cake. Can't have grandma's chocolate pie. No, it's fine, right? Like that's why we allowing language, adopt a mindset of great, like, the holiday eating is rare. All that mindset that we started with on the first part. But here's the boundary I really want to challenge some of you on, Tommy.
Okay.
Is you can say no to the person offering you the thing that you don't ultimately really want.
Even grandma?
Even grandma.
Oh, man.
It's okay. For you people pleasers out there. Shout it from the mountaintops. Put some boundaries up. Say, man, everything else was so great. No, thank you. I'm going to wait. But you know what? Could you do you have a container you can put that in? I would really love to bring that home and enjoy that later. Right? Or,
magic.
Hey, what do you want to drink? You know what? I'm going to wait. I'm just going to wait a little bit. I'm going to have some snacks, kind of survey the aperitifs, the appetizer table. I don't know if that was a word. And you know what? I think I'll have a glass of wine with dinner, or I'll delay it. Say no to the temptation and put it into your plan. The plans can change. The intention's great. The family, the friends, the grandmas, but like you have the ability to say no and just do it tactfully. Don't tell them you're fasting. Please, for the love of God, do not say you're fasting. At the holiday get together.
Baby steps, right? Baby steps. Because the reason why it feels a little tricky or uncomfortable is because it might be very different from what you've done in the past every time you've been in this situation. And that's where I don't know if I can do that, that hesitancy or maybe even fear, lack of confidence kind of comes in. So instead of going to the other end of the extreme, like Scott just mentioned, which would be, oh, no, thanks, I'm fasting. And then, here goes the holiday get together that was supposed to be a nice, fun time. And now it's an awkward conversation where you have to defend yourself or whatever the case may be. Instead of doing that, just not right now, in a few minutes, that kind of thing. And that takes the pressure off of everybody. It takes the pressure off of you for making, an in the moment kind of decision. It also takes the pressure off the person who's asking to go, okay, I did ask, and yes, they are going to take me up on it, just not right now. Okay, now I can go to the next person to ask them that, right? And so it alleviates the situation in a very kind of simple way without swatting at a hornet's nest.
Yeah, man. When I host, I'm like a host, not like I want to make sure. I so many years in the restaurant business, like I want to make sure everybody's good.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
So you want to drink? Hey, so
taking care of everybody.
Yeah, exactly. So when we go up to the family, I was the guy who would always like come in and start making the Italian margaritas. Like I was the old bartender, right? The old restaurant guy. So I'm immediately tapped in to, ooh, all right, what can we have here? Well, I don't drink anymore.
Yeah, you're like, I got new customers at my table now.
Yeah, I don't drink anymore. So it's like, interesting. So that's a different dynamic. We're not going up this year, but in the future, that's going to be something I'm going to need to navigate. So you guys are going to be walking into the, Tommy's here. Here we go. Tommy 2 plates.
Let's go. Yeah.
Let's get it, Tommy.
I know.
Tommy 2 dips with the chip, right? You're around you're circling the appetizer.
Hey, I don't double dip.
Down.
I don't double dip. Don't put
you
that
double
on
dip?
me.
All right, fine, whatever. 1 chip in the left, 1 chip in the right.
Not in somebody else's house. Yeah.
Right.
I'll just take 2 chips, right?
Yeah, 2 chips. So the point is here is that it could be a different experience but you have the ability to say no. Like the grandma's not going to remember. It's fine. Take the pie home. Set those boundaries. But here's the recap, Tommy. Adopt a mindset of grace. Use allowing language, prioritize the nutrient-dense foods and the protein, control your portion sizes, plan accordingly, leverage your fasting skills, that the optimizers before the meal, right? Incorporate your apple cider vinegar, eat your starches last, put the alcohol at the end, take the dessert home, hydrate strategically, set some boundaries, and most importantly, enjoy the experience of being around loved ones because there are some people out there that don't get to do that anymore. So we want to say we've got 2 more opportunities from the Fasting for Life fam to you to wish you a Merry Christmas this week and next. We'll have an episode come out on Christmas Eve. So Merry Christmas to all. Happy holidays to all. Enjoy this season. And just you've got some work to do, but you know what to do. And I want you to just take these steps and put them into place. Because the holiday season can be an absolute time of year where you can succeed. So
yeah, wow. Love that.
Tommy, good stuff, man. I think we ended on like 14, so we're within the boundaries.
Yeah. It's pretty good. I think
Enjoy
it's a good
yourselves.
List. Good list to have a really good, successful holiday season, right?
Yep, it's perfect, man. So we'll talk soon. Thank you, sir.
Cool. Thank you. Bye.
So, you've heard today's episode, and you may be wondering, where do I start? Head on over to thefastingforlife.com and sign up for our newsletter, where you'll receive fasting tips and strategies to maximize results and fit fasting into your day-to-day life.
While you're there, download your free Fast Start guide to get started today. Don't forget to subscribe on iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Make sure to leave us a 5-star review, and we'll be back next week with another episode of Fasting for Life.